So let's bring in our panel of NewsNation contributors about this. A. Scott Bolden is a Democratic strategist. He's also the former chair of the D.C. Democratic Party. And Denise Gitsham is the former Republican congressional candidate from California. Welcome both. Scott, you want to start us off with this? What do you think is a fair question that can be asked right now? Obviously, I think nothing goes without saying, so if you want to say it, maybe it is worth saying that everybody's thoughts are with the former president, his family, and,
Sure.
and it's a terrible, terrible diagnosis. But what do you think are the questions that are fair to ask in terms of timing, transparency, and the like?
Well, I think the only fair question I ask in regard to Biden at this point is whether we need to have age limits in regard to how or when you can serve or begin serving. I think that's a fair question.
Okay.
When it comes to his ability, his mental acuity, I don't know how you test that unless you require it on an annual basis. I'm 62. If I can't find a legal file, I'm concerned about whether I've got early dementia or not. And the fact of the matter is, everybody's memory fades when you get above 50 or above 40, from what I understand. And so the issue of whether his language is strong or whether he can remember something doing a her interview, if you will, doesn't bother me unless there's some medical diagnosis. Now, the cancer diagnosis bothers me a lot. My father had prostate cancer and recovered very quickly from it because it was caught early. It's unfathomable, if you ask me, that it could have metastasized into his bone, and I'm not a medical advisor or expert at all, but it would have metastasized and gone unnoticed for whether it's 2 or 3 years or several years. That's the second good question I think we should be asking.
And I think that is, we had a medical doctor on last hour, Denise, talking about just that. And there are scenarios where he outlined where it might be possible that it wouldn't have been uncovered. But and some of that was based on the fact of, to Scott's point, age. That, when you get to a certain age, you're not required necessarily to have these types of screenings. And I said to the doctor, well, this was the president of the United States who was thinking about running for another 4 years. So this now becomes a political question, right? He should have, I think it's fair to say, have had the screening. So now we don't know. Maybe we'll find out more, but we don't know. What about you? So Scott says a number of things, but one of them is age limits. What do you say?
I mean, mental acuity tests are even more important than age limits, right? So it's because what we associate with age is a decline in mental acuity. So, but, getting to this cancer diagnosis, President Biden, first of all, again, it goes without saying, but we will say it anyway, deserves our prayers, and we should all be praying for him and be grateful to him for serving as our president and leader of the free world. But he doesn't deserve our trust because he has used cancer so many times for political purposes. And the timing of this, as somebody who's been a political strategist for 25 years, is just so suspect in the sense that they dropped it on a Sunday night after the very damning Friday night revelations from the audio released from Robert Hur's investigation. And so it's really unfortunate that he's sort of drug himself, the people around him really, have drug him in this position where at a time when we should all be mourning, we are instead questioning why they're coming out at the time they are. They are unnecessarily politicizing a very, very sad situation that all of us can relate to because we've all lost people like this. And then I've learned more about prostates than I ever thought I would in prepping for this segment. Right. And I learned that actually 55% of men over the age of 70 actually do get tested with PSAs. And so the fact that the leader of the free world, surrounded by the best medical experts at Walter Reed and the own White House military office doctors, didn't somehow think that he should be part of that 40% of men that should be tested over the age of 75 is honestly, it's unbelievable, and I don't believe it.
No, I think that's definitely a question that should be asked because we don't know for sure. Or did he somehow get tested and they missed it? What were you going to say, Scott? Sorry.
Yeah, just very quickly, I respect my good friend Denise, but I take deep exception to the politicalization of cancer. Either he's got cancer or he doesn't. Whether he discloses it isn't a political issue. The fact is that he has cancer, and regardless of the timing, I don't think that's a fair accusation. I don't think you should say Biden and his team are politicizing cancer. He suffered from cancer, his family suffered, and people have died from cancer, and I just really think that commentary is inappropriate, at least that part of your commentary. I wouldn't do that.
Okay, let me see what you think of this commentary. This is the current Vice President of the United States. I want to play a longer clip of what J.D. Vance had to say, and then starting with you, Denise, we'll react to this. This is what he said when asked.
I don't think he was able to do a good job for the American people. And that's not politics. That's not because I disagreed with him on policy. That's because I don't think that he was in good enough health. In some ways, I blame him less than I blame the people around him. And why do the American people have a better sense of his health picture? Well, this is a guy who carries around the nuclear football for the world's largest nuclear arsenal. This is not child's play.
All right, so both of you on that. I'll come to you, Scott, in 1 second on that, but since you spoke last, Denise, your first thoughts on how J.D. Vance characterized it. Is that fair? What do you say?
Yeah, I think it's fair. I mean, again, it's so unfortunate that we're having to conflate the issue of this cancer diagnosis. And again, it's not J.D. Vance's fault. It's the Bidens and the people around them that actually put this front and center at a time when they're talking about all the other issues associated with his mental acuity. You know, this could have easily been something that was announced Monday morning, right? I'm a PR specialist. I'm a strategic communications expert in politics. What you do when you want to bury a story is you drop it on a Sunday night after you've had something really bad happen. You know, elevate a story. You do it right after something really bad has come out and before Monday morning, so that all the news people like us can talk about it ad nauseum. And so again, the fact that it's even being politicized is terribly sad. But the fact that the people around Biden keep doing this to him and making him some sort of political toy, keep pushing him to the forefront, keep saying these things that frankly Americans just don't believe anymore, is really horrific.
If that was the strategy, I don't know how effective it was. I'm not sure that it's necessarily working today if that was the strategy, you know, in terms of the reaction to people, the conversations people are having.
But nothing they do works.
What do you think, Scott? And what do you, and what Vance said, do you think that's fair, talking about the people around him, and you think that's fair?
You know, listen, if Biden's disclosure of cancer, whether it's day 1 or day 50, my colleague wants to make a political issue out of it, okay, maybe they're smart on the PR side to do this because the book is coming out. Okay.
Tomorrow, right. The book coming out tomorrow. But,
exactly.
But again, I think there are legitimate questions. I mean, what you said, I think there are legitimate questions here about how this was all handled when he was president, and who knew what. We don't know yet. All right, let me finish it this way. I want to
let me do J.D. Vance real quick.
Oh yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry about that, Scott. Yep, I forgot.
J.D. Vance isn't a medical doctor. J.D. Vance, of course, it's politics, and his whole statement was a political statement and inappropriate. He's not a medical doctor. He hasn't seen any medical records whatsoever. He's just spouting off and pontificating, and that's irresponsible and inappropriate. Again, when you're talking about a former president of the United States who actually had a lot of high marks and did a lot of good for this country, he needs to be quiet about it.
Well, yeah, I know. Denise, you want to make one comment on that? The issue I was going to finish on was actually kind of the debate and the big, beautiful bill and all that, where that's going, because it seemed like there was a little progress. I don't know where you guys thought that was going to end up, but I'm sure you might want to respond on the J.D. Vance. I don't think you agree that he needs to keep quiet about it. He can probably think he has the right to say what he wants to say, right?
The same respect we would show to a vice president on the left side of the aisle is what we should show to the right, right? We shouldn't make exceptions based on our own political preferences. And I hope most Americans ascribe to that. But at the end of the day, there's a history with Biden. The only reason this is even an issue is because of the way Democrats hid, and his family, even worse, his family pushed him to the forefront when he was physically and mentally incapable of running for president. There's no evidence of it. Well, everyone in the Democratic Party is turning against you right now, Scott. Have you listened to the audio recordings from Friday night? Okay. Well, I wouldn't want to admit that.
You know, the one thing I would say, Scott, don't you think it's fair, though, to say, like,
you got a bad memory. I got a bad memory. So what?
But defending some of this stuff.
You didn't know when he was elected.
Let me just get away from the cancer diagnosis in particular, but defending some of this stuff like that, Scott, don't you think it hurts the credibility and the ability to criticize and call out the current administration like Democrats like to do for other issues? Don't you think it hurts Democratic credibility a little bit?
Listen, if Donald Trump makes political gaffes, if Donald Trump forgets something, if Donald Trump is having a bad day, fair, you can call that out. But to make some type of medical diagnosis or say that the country's suffering or that people are hiding his health issues, I don't think an individual, as the president or mine, my health issue is of a public nature where it should be subject to debate.
Let me come back to all of this. Yeah, I get what both of you are saying. Let me come back to all this, and we'll cover the big, beautiful bill at another stage in the show. Scott, thank you. Denise as well.